Welcome to one of the biggest crossover events in Power Ranger and Kamen Rider fanfiction history, with almost 30 storylines crossing over. These storylines are written and read to you guys across multiple platforms and given to you by the 3 Ranger Bros Studios, which is hosted by Mark the Red Cornish Ranger, Cosplay Dude 637, and myself, Ty Tiger. So prepare to dive into a storyline that not only crosses over all these stories, but hosts a threat that is willing to take down the entire multiverse as we know it. Let us begin. Rangers and Riders Unite. War for the Multiverse. Part 1. The End of Universe 19. An army of faded green Zeo Rangers had invaded Earth. They were dubbed Fadenizers. They drove Zords unlike any other, never before seen by anyone. In Silver Hills, the Red Time Force Ranger and the Quantum Ranger, along with a squad of Silver Guardians, tried their best to fight off the Fadenizers and lead the public to safety. The Fadenizers grabbed hold of one of the Silver Guardians, its life being absorbed into the Ranger, the life force being ripped out of the man, his skin and muscles being dematerialized, leaving nothing but his skeleton. In the sky hovered a massive dragonfly-like Zord, with green eyes and a long blue rigid body and tail with silver wings. The Fadenizers had dubbed it God Tombo. God Tombo was absorbing life force from plants, animals and people, leaving nothing but husks and bones laying everywhere. The 2 Red Rangers fought against the Fadenizers, not doing a great amount of damage. 2 Fadenizers grabbed a hold of the Red Ranger and pushed him to his knees and absorbed his morphing grid energy, then his life force, rendering the Red Time Force Ranger nothing but a skeleton. "Wes, no!" the Quantum Ranger called out. He then aimed his blaster and fired it upon the 2 Fadenizers, who had just killed his best friend. One of the Fadenizers used its rainbow-lit Quasar Saber and slashed the Quantum Ranger several times. The Quantum Ranger tried to jump out of the way, but was tripped over and he landed on his back. Then one of the Fadenizers knelt on the Ranger's chest and pinned him down. It placed its hand on his helmet and drained the morphing grid, then his life force, leaving nothing but his skeleton. On the planet Triforia, Trey was the last man standing. Everyone on his planet had been rendered to skeletons. The animals had been rendered to skeletons. The plant life was nothing but husks. The 3 forms of Trey merged and became the Gold Ranger and stood before an army of Fadenizers. A gigantic butterfly mecha-like Zord, purple in colour with a wide wingspan. The Fadenizers called it God Papillon. The Gold Ranger tried his best to fend off the army of grey Zeo Rangers, but the Gold Ranger threw several punches, threw kicks, but with no damage. One of the Fadenizers jumped forward and tackled the Gold Ranger to the ground. Then the grey Zeo Rangers all piled on top of the Gold Ranger. His life force was ripped out of him after his morphing grid abilities was ripped out of him, leaving 3 skeletons behind. The Fadenizers had successfully taken over Triforia. The Fadenizers all teleported away, and God Paplon Mecha had flown away from the world's atmosphere and started draining the world's life force. The planet lost all of its colour, becoming grey and dull. Triforia was no more than a ball of grey rock, falling apart, left to crumble. The Sky Base had become overrun with Fadenizers. The Skyforce Rangers were all in the command deck fighting them. The Red Ranger jumped up and split-kicked 2 Fadenizers. The Blue Ranger lifted one up and slammed it on one of the consoles and punched it several times before the Fadenizers grabbed the Blue Ranger and started siphoning off his powers. The Yellow Ranger glided across the room and kicked the Blue Ranger off the Fadenizers, breaking their contact. "Don't let him touch you," the Yellow Ranger barked. The Rangers all pulled out their blasters and started doing some long-range attacks, using the method of keeping distance. Keeping the Fadenizers at bay, Commander Winston barged into the command deck, a small energy pistol in hand. "Rangers, time to evacuate! Let us go!" Commander Winston called out, gesturing the Rangers to follow him. He turned around and a Phasenizer landed in front of him, grabbing him by the throat, absorbing his life force. His body turned to a skeleton. "Dad!" the Red and Yellow Rangers called out, their voice breaking as their voice boxes could not take the strain of their sudden pain-stricken view. Suddenly, a portal burst open, and the Silver Ultra Ranger jumped through it. She rolled across the floor, slamming her fist into a Phasenizer, throwing it across the room. "Wait, why are you here?" the White Ranger asked her. "These things are invading everywhere. We need you guys to come with me now," the Silver Ultra Ranger barked. "Come on, guys, let's go," the Black Ranger ordered. No, I won't leave him, no," the Yellow Ranger cried out, trying to fight his way to his father's skeleton. "Billy, come on, we have to go," the Blue Ranger snapped. The Black and Red Ranger both grabbed onto the Yellow Ranger and pulled him back. "I know, okay? We have to go. We have to be smart here. We have to fight and win. We gotta kick these things' asses, okay? For Dad," the Red Ranger told his brother. "Right, for Dad," the Yellow Ranger nodded. The Silver Ultra Ranger stood there and lashed out her Ultra Whip, keeping the Phasenizers at bay as the Skyforce Rangers ran through the portal. She then followed, the portal closing, leaving the sky base overridden with Phasenizers. The Skyforce Rangers and the Silver Ultra Ranger walked through a portal and entered the command center. The Skyforce Rangers walked into the room with the Ultra Rangers, the Power Rangers Cyberforce team, the Power Rangers Masters and Music team, Kamen Rider Wizard, Kamen Rider Beast, Kamen Rider Kiva, Kamen Rider Drive, Kamen Rider Mac, and Kamen Rider Ghost, with some of their civilian associates. "I guess it's safe to power down now," the Black Ranger muttered as he watched the Silver Ultra Ranger demorph. The Skyforce Rangers demorphed and Billy found himself a chair and slumped down on it. Jim walked up to the others. "Hey, name's Jim," Jim said to them. "We know who you are, Jim. We've been keeping an eye on you," Billy Cranston stated. Jim recognized a lot of the people from the archives that they had been going through during their training. "I get these guys something to drink, yeah?" Kimberly muttered. Then she walked away and headed to the kitchen area. Haley sat at one of the computers. She slammed her hands against the table multiple times. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Haley barked. "Haley, what's wrong?" Mikhail asked her. "Everyone else is gone. That's it. Everyone in this room, that's all we have. I can't get through to Cam, Dr. Fairweather, Mac, West. I've even tried Commander Sky. There is no one, and the scanners just confirmed it," Haley said in a huff. "It looks like we're on our own," Tommy muttered. The Skyforce Rangers looked up to the tube as Zordon appeared. Everyone knew who Zordon was, but his presence still surprised the Skyforce Rangers as they gazed at the Altarian. "Thank you, Zordon and Alpha, for opening your command center to us," Penny said with a slight bow. "Of course, it's the last we could do," Alpha replied. "What's the plan now?" Jacob asked.
"First things first. I'm glad that the people in this room is safe, and I am sorry we have lost those dear to us. I knew a lot of those Rangers, and we all know those who could not defend themselves. But right now, it is not time to mourn. It is time to stand together and defeat those Ranger wannabes. Let's make sure our friends and families and the other Rangers and Riders do not die in vain,"
Jason stated, walking over to Billy, placing his hand on his shoulder. Billy looked up to Jason, wiped away a tear from his cheek and nodded. Jason then nodded at Billy. Billy Cranston walked over to the middle of the room and placed down a small disc, which projected a hologram for everyone to see. These Phasenizers, as we're calling them, control more or less these mechas, but they aren't using the morphing grid, so they're not exactly Zords, but they definitely look like them. They're being controlled by strings of energy. We got visual confirmation that these Rangers and mechas are draining life form from everything from humans, aliens, plants, and animals. If it's alive, they want it. We tried to get in contact with our alien allies, such as Triforia, Altar, and Aquatar, but they've been drained to nothing but rock, Billy stated. The hologram showed the 3 planets one by one, showing each one being grey husks, no sign of life or colour. "This could be Stingnet," Xander chimed. "I doubt it. It's not really his MO, Fred replied. "We thought the same thing about Rastva, but he likes his big plans with an ugly face. Right at the forefront, you know what he's doing. He's all show and tell at the same time kind of guy," Zach grunted. No Fangire has the power to do this much damage. Penny sighed. We thought about our lot as well, but I doubt it. Esme shrugged. It does seem like this is the work of phantoms, right? Stephanie asked Jacob. Jacob shaking his head in confirmation.
We can focus on who is behind this later. Right now, we must find a way to defeat the Fadenizers in their Zords.
Shinon butted in. And as like her words were an alarm, suddenly the ground started shaking. Haley typed away at the computer and Billy's hologram changed into a camera footage. The dragonfly mecha, known as God Tombo, was floating in the air above the command center. It then started absorbing the life force energy from everyone within the command center. The room was filled with rainbow-colored energy as it pulled each person and pulled the energy out of the building. The Kamen Riders all dropped to their knees, unable to move. Their bodies became weak and unstable. Haley, who was still in her chair, grabbed a USB drive and inserted it into the console she was leaning on, and suddenly God Tombo was unable to drain the life force. Everyone slumped as their bodies were no longer being torn apart. Well, what happened? Cece asked. I implemented a code which activated a shield blocking all entering communication wavelengths down to the nano-energy codex reading level. Haley said for a heavy breath. Someone speak English? Tony snapped. We have a shield, so we're safe in here, Haley replied. Aye. Thank you, Haley, Alpha said. Kimberly came running into the room, her jumper soaked. What's going on? Kimberly barked. Tommy pulled her to one side and explained everything as Jason looked at the camera feed. He saw several Fadenizers. Some looked like the Zeo Green Ranger, and some looked like the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, just grey and all faded out of colour. All stood outside waiting. According to the data searches on the internet, the Fadenizers called this thing God Tombo, Billy Cranston told them. We need to do something, Stephanie snapped.
Alright guys, like I said, we need to keep a level head and take this head on. Rangers, suit up and take the Megazords. Take that dragonfly looking thing and rip it apart. Kamen Riders, stay here and defend Zordon and the others.
Jason ordered. But what about you, man? Zach asked him.
I'm going to go and introduce ourselves to our fated friends.
Jason grunted. I want to come, Mikhail blurted.
Hell no! Stay with your team, Mikhail.
Jason snapped back. Hell no! You're my sensei. I'm not going to be able to concentrate knowing you're down there by yourself. Mikhail barked back at him. Jason let out a deep sigh.
Fine, but you stay close to me,
Jason ordered. Jim then walked up to them. I'm coming, Jim stated.
Guys, this is not a party. We aren't going to Starbucks. This is a war. We have lost people here.
Jason barked at them. Yeah, I know, but I just watched my dad die, rendered to nothing but bones, and my brother is now an emotional wreck, and I really have to punch something. So either I'm going to come with you and we all work together, or I go find something else to punch. Jim growled at Jason. Jason rubbed his eyes.
Oh, bloody hell, give me the Machine Empire and put us on the moon, because apparently this is 15 years ago.
Jason snapped. Babe, it's okay. These are Red Rangers. They lead their own teams. You really think I was going to let you go by yourself anyway? They're going with you, Halen ordered. Jason did not argue with his beloved. He nodded, they shared a kiss, and everyone prepared for the fight ahead. Jim is just a fantastic person to listen to. He's a great podcaster, he's one hunk of a man. He's just like a great person. So you should go check out Zero the Hero if you want to listen to Jim's fabulousness. That's Zero the Hero, the podcast. Go check it out. Just to listen to Jim. Billy. Jason, Jim, and Mikhail stood on a rocky terrain. The small army of Fadenizers stood several feet away.
The first time I morphed was here. I was just a dumb teenager.
Jason sighed. Have you got a point, or are you just trying to reminisce right now? Jim sneered.
My point being, I do not plan on making this place the last place I morph.
Jason replied. Let's get this over with. Mikhail muttered. Jason pulled out his Ultra Morpher. Jim pulled up his sleeve and raised his wrist, revealing his Sky Morpher. Mikhail waved his hand over his Cyber Morpher.
Red Dragon!
Jason barked, holding out his Morpher. Red Hawk! Jim barked, pressing his fingers on his Morpher. Cyber Charge! Mikhail barked as he slammed his hand on his Morpher. 3 flashes of red sparked. Then the Fadenizers were faced with the red Ultra Ranger, the red Skyforce Ranger, and the red Cyberforce Ranger. 3 Red Rangers ran at the Fadenizers head on. The God Tombo mecha hovered above the battlefield. Suddenly, an array of Zords appeared. The Skyforce Zords combined in the Skyforce Megazord. The Ultra Zords combined into the Ultra Zord. The Warrior Zord and the Cyber Zords combined into the Cyber Megazord and Beastatron. The 5 Megazords ran at the God Tombo mecha. The Cyber Megazord jumped up and swung its sword, but God Tombo glided to one side, dodging the attack. Both the Ultra Zord and Warrior Zord both took flight and flew at God Tombo at the same time, coming at it from different directions. The Dragonfly rotated rapidly. Both Megazords spun their swords at them, but their attacks bounced off the vortex made by God Tombo's rotation motions. Beastatron aimed its blaster and fired at God Tombo, striking it multiple times, causing it to waver. Then the Skyforce Megazord flew up and punched the mecha in the head, uppercutting it. God Tombo engaged in defensive maneuvers. Beastatron jumped up and aimed its cannon, but the mecha dashed forward and started draining the Beastatron of its morphing grid energy. The Megazord froze in animation as its energy was being drained from it, the Rangers in the cockpit feeling weaker with every passing second. The other Megazords jumped up and swung their swords, but they hit an invisible force field, their swords bouncing off of it. They kept swinging but with no response. Beastatron turned a solid grey in colour. God Tombo bolted forward using its wings to slice the Beastatron completely in half. The Megazord dropped to the ground. The green, gold and purple Cyberforce Rangers jumped out, landing on the ground as well. They looked up at their Megazord, grey in colour, lack of energy, and split in two. The Megazord's light died out, and it crumbled into dust. No! The green Cyberforce Ranger called out. God Tombo turned to the other Megazords flying at it, slashing it with their swords. Then the Skyforce Megazord came flying down above God Tombo, landing on top of it, crushing it into the ground. Megazord grabbed the mecha's wings and ripped them off, and summoned its sword and stabbed it in the head. "That's for Dad!" the Yellow Ranger cried out. Suddenly, the butterfly mecha came flying down from Earth's atmosphere, sending energy blasts from its eyes. The 3 Red Rangers fought the small army of Fadenizers. The Ultra Ranger, with his Ultra Sword in hand, had slashed several Fadenizers away, sparks rippling off their suits, but they were not fazed by the attacks. The Cyberforce Red Ranger jumped up and split-kicked 2 Fadenizers, then he caught one of their punches and kicked the Fadenizer in the stomach. The Skyforce Red Ranger jumped up and slammed his feet into the Fadenizer several times. When his final kick sent the Fadenizer flying back, it hit the ground, and it shattered into dust. "Wait, what the hell?" the Skyforce Red Ranger gasped. The 3 Red Rangers looked up to see the Cyberforce Megazord defeating the God Tombo.
Guys, the mecha is what keeps these things immortal, so to speak,
the Red Ultra Ranger said into his communicator. Then he slashed another Fadenizer. This time it resulted in the Fadenizer being cut in half and it turned to dust. The 3 Red Rangers carried on fighting. When one of the Fadenizers managed to grab onto the Skyforce Red Ranger and started draining his life force, he suddenly felt incredibly weak, making it hard for him to fight back. Suddenly, Tony landed and kicked the Fadenizer away. He pulled the Red Skyforce Ranger to his feet, and the other 2 Red Rangers regrouped with him.
Tony, what are you doing here, man?
The Red Ultra Ranger asked. "Save it, Jason. I'm here to help," Tony sneered. Then he activated his driver belt and his shift brace. He slotted the hot rod-sized car into the wrist console and locked it in. "Henshin!" Tony called out, and he transformed into Kamen Rider Drive. Kamen Rider Drive ran at the Fadenizers. He revved the car in his console once again, and the tire on his chest started rotating at fast speeds. He then moved at blinding speed. He threw 1,000 punches in 5.2 seconds. Multiple Fadenizers hit the ground, turning into dust. The 3 Red Rangers and Kamen Rider Drive took down the Fadenizers. The butterfly mecha hovered above the battlefield. It shot one grey beam of light which hit the ground, summoning more Fadenizers. "I don't think we can keep this up," the Cyberforce Red Ranger barked.
No, we can retreat in a minute. We took down one of the mechas, but we need to hang on as long as we can.
The Red Ultra Ranger ordered. The Rangers pulled out their blasters and started firing at the Fadenizers, with the Kamen Rider Drive zooming around, speed blitzing the weaker ones.
Everyone, we need you to return. Judging by calculations drafted by Haley, this new mecha is about to absorb the planet's life force. We need everyone to the command center. It's time to activate the Black Space Protocol.
Zordon commanded through their communicators. "Time's up, Jason, come on!" The Cyberforce Red Ranger called out. The 3 Red Rangers and Kamen Rider Drive grouped up and they teleported into the command center. The Megazord also retreated, and the Rangers all teleported into the command center, and everyone demorphed. "Quick question, what's the Black Space Protocol?" Sam asked.
We have allies who bounce around pocket dimensions. Haley and Billy programmed a failsafe to teleport all Zord's technology in the command center to some of those pocket dimensions. A black void.
Shinon explained. "The Zords are transported already. Activating the command center transform functions now," Billy Cranston called out. Haley sat next to him, both of them typing away at the keyboards, pressing buttons, turning nodes, and then Billy Cranston flicked open the hidden latch and pressed the red button. "Transporting us now," he called out. There was a slight rumble within the command center, then the whole room was engulfed in a blinding white light. The light faded and everyone looked around. Billy Cranston then pressed a button and the hologram disc projected the outside of the command center. It was pure darkness, black and empty. The command center was still on a rock-solid platform, but was surrounded by a big blue translucent shield keeping them safe inside. "I've done all the scans. There's no signs of the Fadenizers or their weird-looking Zord-like mechas," Billy Cranston stated.
So, does that mean Earth is gone?
Jason asked. Billy hit another button, and the hologram disc showed Earth in Universe 19, which was nothing more than a grey rock. No signs of life or colour. The image zoomed out to the rest of the Milky Way galaxy, and each planet resembled Earth. Lifeless. Grey. Nothing.
I'm afraid our universe is no more,
Zordon said solemnly.
We should have stayed and carried on fighting,
Jason roared, the pure sadness in his voice. "We lost Beastron. Those things can absorb the morphing grid and the ultra grid, and kill everyone. We could not risk losing more people," Justin snapped. "He kinda has a point," Cece sighed. Jason stormed off, leaving the room.
Thankfully, over the years, Alpha and Billy have made rooms for you to rest, eat, and train. Please, go look after yourselves. Take time. We need a plan on how to tackle this new villain. There is no need for everyone to sit here beating yourselves up,
Zordon told everyone. One by one, everyone left the room. No one spoke. No one could find the words. Everyone had their own thoughts on the fact that their universe was truly gone. They did not know if they would ever get their home back.
Welcome to Universe 113. Many tales are told here. Some you may recognize, like the Power Rangers Future Foundation. Some are new. This universe was separated.
Shinzo walked into the center room of the command center. Zordon was not seen in his tube, and his tube was dimmed. Alpha was nowhere to be seen. Neither was Shinon. Haley was sat at the desk. She turned and clocked Shinzo. "Oh, hey there," Haley sighed. "Hey, sorry, I didn't realize you were there. I thought I was walking around by myself, Shinzo muttered. No, it's okay. I don't mind the company. What's keeping you up on your feet? Haley asked him. The Fadenizers, the mechas, draining life force energy. Just makes me wonder, I guess, Shinzo said sadly. He walked over to Haley. Oh, right, yeah, of course, you're half Fangire. You guys do the same, right? But I thought you didn't need to drain life force energy, Haley said questionably. I don't. My human side keeps my Fangire side at bay, but it scares the living crap out of me, Shinzo admitted, looking at the floor. You know, when Tommy left and the Dino Thunder Rangers moved on and all that, I had nothing. Then I found the Cyber Realm, and it scared the living crap out of me. But I didn't let it scare me for long. Instead, I weaponized it. I turned the power of it into a force of good. A way to not only protect Earth from the threats of the Cyber Realm, but now I'm even helping the Cyber Realm, Haley explained. Okay, Shinzo replied, confused. My point is, the things that scare you, don't let it scare you. Weaponize it, Haley stated. Shinzo nodded with a small grin, then pointed at the console that Haley was sat at. What are you up to? Shinzo asked. I'm trying to set up my universal communication set. It got knocked out when we jumped here. The wires got all messed up and everything. I just don't have the tools, and it's electrical city down there. Haley shrugged. Shinzo walked up to the console, knelt down and removed the panel, and he saw a bunch of wires sparking with electrical power surging between the two loose wires. Shinzo put his hand in and connected the electrical wires, the electricity currents bouncing off his skin, and he connected the wires with ease. The electrical currents died down, then the console lit back up. Oh wow, my god, you did it! But Shinzo, how? Haley blurted in disbelief. Half Fangire, remember? Shinzo grinned. Shinzo stood and they both watched a small red dot blinking on the console. Hey, what does that mean? Shinzo asked. It means of being called from another universe. I'm getting 2 readings here, Haley stated. They looked at each other. Then Haley pressed the communications button. Hello? Hello, is anyone there? Haley said cautiously.
Haley! Haley, is that you? It's Mark. I'm with my team. We're in Universe 2118. It's under attack by strange grey rangers and Zords. I've never seen them. We need assistance. They're killing everyone.
Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger, responded. Mark, oh my god, there are other universes in peril? Wait, if Mark is one of the contact, then who's also contacting us? Haley questioned. She then shifted the communication device to the other communicator. Hello, this is Dante from Universe 113. I'm here with the Power Rangers Future Foundation and Future Generations. We are in need of assistance. These Grey Ranger things and unknown mechas are draining everything, Dante Securus called out. Suddenly, Zordon's tube lit up, and Zordon's head appeared.
Haley, open the portal to Universe 2118 and Universe 113, and get those teams here. It seems like our problem is bigger than we realize.
Zordon commanded. Haley nodded at Zordon. Mark, Dante, listen closely. Universe 19 is no longer. We've had to run into the same problem as you, it seems, and they took everything out. Only a few of us survived. We're hiding in a pocket dimension. I'm about to open a portal to both your locations. Bring anyone you can and hurry the hell up, Haley ordered. She slid a chair across the room and hit several buttons on the console. Then, in front of her, 2 portals opened one by one. Out of one portal walked out Mark, Elias, Lip, Himiko, Eric, and Brohan from Universe 2118. They were known as the Power Rangers Global. Brohan was their mentor and brother to Zordon and Shinon. From the other portal, Dante, Luca, Chloe, Amy, Leo, with their girl behind the computer, CJ, walked out. They were the Power Rangers Future Foundation, and with them was their side group, the Power Rangers Future Generations, which consisted of Xander, Elib, and Ivy. Both teams hailed from Universe 113. Both teams looked lost and defeated. Their bodies looked battered and bruised. Their expressions wore with sadness and confusion as well.
Thank you, but it looks like we have a bigger problem on our hands.
Mark sighed. We need whoever you got, Dante muttered with a nod. Haley pressed the communicator button. Rangers, riders, to the main bay now. This is bigger than we thought. And it turns out we also have backup, Haley told those resting in the command center. Everyone gathered in the main bay. Everyone had the same thought. What was thought to be a universal threat turned to be a threat so dangerous it threatened the entire multiverse. It was time for the Power Rangers and Kamen Riders to unite and take out this new threat.